Acrimony, behind the scenes of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Richard Lynch was walking down the hall in BP's Crisis Command Center in early May when some engineers rushed up bearing very bad news. "We've lost the cofferdam," they said. In fact, the cofferdam, a 100-ton, 4-story high steel dome that the company had lowered to try to contain the flow of oil from its out-of-control well, had become clogged with ice-like crystals and was rising in the water, full of flammable gas and oil. Had the dome hit one of the work ships, another inferno like the one that destroyed the Deepwater Horizon drilling rig might have resulted, with more lives lost. But eventually, the engineers managed to maneuver it to safety. "The last thing you'd want is this thing filled with ice rushing up to the bottom of the vessel," Mr. Lynch said. The so-called official death of the now notorious Macondo oil well in the Gulf of Mexico is theoretically expected after Labor Day, if all goes well, with the completion of a relief well. Whether the 4-month effort to kill it was a remarkable feat of engineering performed under near impossible circumstances, not, or a stumbling exercise in trial and error that took longer than it should have, will be debated for some time. But interviews with BP engineers and technicians, contractors, and Obama administration officials who, with the eyes of the world upon them, worked to stop the flow of oil, suggest that the process was also far more stressful, hair-raising, and acrimonious than the public was even aware of. There were some very close calls, the details of which were not released to the public, like the panic over the rising dome. Sleep-deprived men and women neglected family birthdays and watched long-planned summer vacations vanish. Inside the command center and at the well site, 40 miles off the coast of Louisiana, tempers flared. In one heated argument, a senior engineer on a ship threatened to throw another senior engineer overboard, and blood pressures rose. The dome was only the first public debacle, as failure after failure followed failure. The relationship between BP executives and administration officials deteriorated, resulting in disputes that some oil industry experts say delayed the killing of the whale. Anyway, the whale is not really killed, not yet, and besides that, oil, natural gas, and methane is coming up through the seabed or the seafloor. There are cracks in the capstone covering the whale. Looking back, administration officials said that they became concerned that BP could not handle the crisis, and that at crucial junctures the company made serious errors of judgment. There was an arc of loss of confidence, said Interior Secretary Ken Salazar. He also added, "I was not comfortable. They knew what they were doing. And still, they don't really know what they're doing." Those on the industry side saw it differently. "The only benefit I see is they actually challenged us to a level of detail and communication." Mark Mazzella, BP's top well control expert, said of the government scientists who stepped in to supervise the effort. He said they didn't offer anything that changed anything we actually did. A decision by Energy Secretary Stephen Chu to turn to BP's competitors for advice was viewed as an insult by many at the company, said a technician. Tensions above filtered down to the command center, a series of rooms on the 3rd floor of a tower on BP's campus in Houston's Westlake section, where the seasoned well experts faced a challenge of unparalleled scale and difficulty to apply techniques used often on land to an out-of-control well 5,000 feet underwater. "If ever there was a war, this would qualify," one contractor wrote in a letter to BP. By mid-August, when the oil was finally contained, the whale was cemented, or so they say, and all that remained was the completion of the relief well. The intensity of the experience was becoming clearer to many of those who worked to stop the worst marine oil spill in American history. It's been one of those sort of very profound periods in your life, said Paul Toombs, BP's Vice President for Engineering. I'm not quite sure what normal is going to feel like after this. Mounting frustrations. Mr. Mazzella, the BP well control expert, who ropes and rides at rodeos in his spare time, was at a practice rodeo in early June when the wife of a friend confronted him. "You're not doing a very good job, are you?" she said. Even Mr. Mazzella's elderly father pointedly asked him one day when BP would finally get the well plugged. "We are tired of hearing about it on the TV," he told his son. Mr. Mazzella said he and his colleagues struggled to shrug off the criticism and stay focused on their task. But the humiliation peaked over Memorial Day weekend, when the procedure, called the top kill, also met with failure. One failure after another. And again, they are failing us because they're not telling us the truth about what's happened to the Macondo oil well. And what has happened? Again, it's now seeping or percolating. It's coming up out of the seabed or the seafloor all around the BOP, the blowout preventer, perhaps for many miles. And it could be coming up for many years, if not decades, or perhaps even generations. It's dissolving into the water at the source, and it will change the chemistry of the ocean water over time. Or actually, nobody really knows exactly for sure, because nothing like this has ever been experienced until now. So, again, it's still leaking up from the seafloor or the seabed all around the BOP. It's seeping now. Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 18. And say, "Thus saith the Lord God Almighty, woe to the women that sew pillows to all armholes, and make kerchiefs upon the head of every stature, to hunt souls. Will ye hunt the souls of my people, and will ye save the souls alive that come unto you?" 19. And will ye pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley, for pieces of bread or money, to slay the souls that should not die, and to save the souls alive that should not live, by your lying to my people that hear your lies? 21. Your kerchiefs also will I tear, and deliver my people out of your hand, and they shall be no more in your hand to be hunted, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. And all these are more signs of the end times, transition days. There is a great process, a transition, which is going on all around the world. In other words, everything must change quickly or rapidly, and for the better. And all these are more signs.